And so God is getting that point to men. And as a result of that, there is a restoration that's going on right now. There's a revival that's going on. That's what's happened. In these meetings, we may think that this is a matter of advertisement, that this is not advertisement. This is not just a men's movement. This is a move of God in the hearts of men. And your heart has been found to be good ground for something God is doing in our generation. Come on, don't shout me down now up in here. Glory to God. Now, it says in Genesis chapter 1 and verse 28, it says, God says, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. Now, the reason I wanted to put that in there is because sometimes we forget about something. Look at this. God created man for himself. Man was created to be like God. God created in Genesis chapter 1 everything else, all the animals, all the fish of the sea, everything, the birds that fly. And then he says, man, dominate everything. And so man was created to dominate. There's something about you that has in it your ability to lead. But look also what happens. He says, be fruitful and multiply. Now, why is this crucial? Because with God, character is everything. Sometimes we think fruit has to do with your progeny. We'll come to that. But fruit has to do with your character. You see, there's so much of a need nowadays to understand that character is everything. When you cultivate Christ-likeness, when you allow the Lord to change you so that you think like he thinks, so that you may get angry, but you sin not, so that you do the things that in the great day, God will say, well done to you. You do the things so that, watch this, your lifestyle can be modeled after. Character is everything. It's not enough for you to have intellect. You have to have character. It's not enough for you to have theology and good scriptural memorization. You have to have character. See, character is that what you do when no man is looking. Accountability, yes, you need those groups. It helps you in the process of your development. You need accountability groups because why? Sometimes you're not walking at your highest level of character. So it begins with principles. We walk the principles out. But sometimes we find that our emotions, our desires grow so strong that they overtake our principles. That's the issue that you'll be hearing about later on. It's where sometimes men buy these magazines and look at them, or they look at women behind their wives' back, and they lust and these kinds of things. Well, you got to be developed in character. There are certain lines you must not step across. That's character. But if you look, though, at the initial creation, when God says, I make you in my image and likeness, see, Adam had to never think about being like God. He was like God by nature. See, God's seed was in him. He never had to think about not sinning. He had the seed of holiness in him. He never thought about not stealing or not being deceitful. He was like God. Remember how man must have been without sin. It was sin that caused man to fall beneath the standard. Sometimes we forget, what must he have been like without sin? What was man like in the image of God? See, that's why God could say to him, be fruitful and multiply. Why? Because he wasn't just going to multiply his seed and have biological children. His character could be followed after. He could say, Adam, if everybody were like you in the world, in your character, they would all please me. See, every one of us have to think like that. Every one of you have to think, like Joseph with Potiphar's wife. He could be behind the back of everyone. The woman could be chasing him down and say, lie with me. And Joseph, with nobody there to see him, with not the husband or the servants or no one there to see him, Joseph could say, I refuse to sin against the Lord and my master. Why? Because the consciousness of God was greater than the desire for some physical woman. You see, he was a man of character. He was like God. But just think about that. He was still now living in a fallen world. Adam was a man like God in his nature without the fall. Incredible. That's why God could say, be fruitful, multiply. I'm going to make everybody in the earth. All your children are going to populate the earth. It's an incredible thing to think about.